but I'm replacing Tyler. So if I make any mistakes or if I'm not very clear, just raise your hand and I will try to, and I will try to correct. Okay, now we can go. So today I'm going to be talking about the supply chain trilemma. The agenda is that I'm going to tell you about this trilemma, then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Viant, and last about seed to salsa. There is one use case, and I don't think we will have time to Q&A, but we will try. So, the supply chain trilemma, the thing is that today, but without blockchain, there is no solution that actually solves for a system that is transparent, scalable, and shared, or that we have a shared truth within all the actors, including the consumer. So the thing about this trilemma is that, for example, if I have a supply chain and I have n actors and I want to add a new actor to this supply chain, and I want to have access to all the events that happen within this supply chain, then me as a new actor, I have to connect with the systems of all the previous existing actors. So that means that previously, each of these n actors participating in this supply chain, they had to integrate their systems to the other end. So if we want to have an scalable network, then we have an n complexity problem in order to escalate each time that we want to add a new one or to retire one. We would say that the supply chain is transparent if every actor of the supply chain has access in real time to every event that happens in all the supply chain. So if we think about, for example, the production of a salsa or a sauce, I swear to God that the salsa was not my idea. Being a Latina doesn't have any relation to talking about salsa. So the thing is, in a supply chain for salsa, you will have many producers, many farmers, many packagers, the people that is doing the packaging itself, and you will have a lot of actors. And it's very difficult to actually share in real time the events that are happening. If you want to have a blockchain, a supply chain, that is scalable and at the same time is transparent, so you will have to trust in one actor that usually is going to be the actor that has more power in this supply chain, and he is going to be the one having a central system where everyone is going to connect to share their events, and so we have to centralize trust. But the thing is, this is not going to be tamper-proof. And what we see today is that when this happens, and we have a centralized system where we can see all the information, we see all the other actors that are duplicating these databases, making copies, because we say we trust, but we really don't trust. So actually, there is a lot of duplication and really a lot of cost overhead in having this kind of system. On the other side, if we want to have a completely transparent, but as well we want everyone to have the shared truth, what we can do is that every one of these actors will share the events that they participate with all the other actors. So that means that, as I was saying before, every time we add a new person, then we will have to connect to all the other systems. So this gives us finite scalability, and then lineage, if we talk about lineage, it means that we actually have the information of the product since the beginning of the raw materials to the end, where actually I'm a consumer and I want to know everything that happens in every single step. But it's not only for the consumer, but as well if I'm a company, and for example, I'm the one producing the packaging for the salsa, and in some given time, it happens that, for example, the farmer cannot produce enough tomatoes. The only way for me to make a good decision about keep producing packaging for the salsa that it may not be produced, or start doing the products for another client. If I don't have the information of the first part of the chain, then I don't have the complete lineage, and I cannot make timely decisions. So the good thing is that now we have blockchain, not only to save the world, but as well to solve for supply chains. So the thing is, if we have blockchain, as we know, we can create a platform. In this case, Viant. We can create a platform where every actor is going to be connected, and we can have one shared ledger that is going to be the truth of the supply chain, and we can trust in it. I'm not going to explain blockchain because I guess you know the basics. So the thing is that now we're going to be able to be in control without having control. So now we see a trend and a change in paradigm that before we were just consuming products and enterprises, they were just selling products, and now we see more and more a real interest in transparency, in knowing where things are coming from, and even it's being used as marketing within other stuff. So we see this change of paradigm, and now we have the tool, now we have blockchain as a tool to actually solve for this. And it opens as well many other, we can leverage a lot of information, and as well we can open a connection between the enterprise or the producer and the consumer. That till now what we saw is that for most of fast-moving consumer goods, the producer of the product, they don't have any actual connection to the consumer itself, because they have the retailers that intermediate their relation. So it's very difficult for the enterprise as well to connect and to have a direct relationship, engagement with the consumers. So this is Tyler, that should be here. So about Viant, I think I'm going to go quickly because I don't have much time. But okay, but Viant was created inside of consensus. It's a consensus formation. So in between 2015 and 2016, we were making a lot of consulting projects on supply chain, and then we realized that actually the problem that we were solving was always the same, changing the products or changing the industries, but the problem was always the same. So after doing a lot of projects of this, Tyler and another team in 2017, they created Viant, that I will talk to you a little bit more in a second. And then 2017 and 2018 has been like really very productive. We have made a partnership with Microsoft, and as well we made some projects, with GSK, with WWF, and with major oil companies. And in 2018, we started developing as well many other projects for big companies in the luxury industry, in the FMCG, that are still confidential, so I cannot talk about it. Now we are still working on production enablement, and we can as well develop multi-org supply chains, and not only for internal. So these are the three main components of Viant. So Viant actually is an asset and domain agnostic platform that allows you to model really easily what is going to be the business process of your supply chain. Is really like drag and drop, much easier than Excel. Once you model your business processes, you're going to declare what are your attributes, what are your assets and their attributes, and then you're going to create the roles and permissions, not only of the people that is in all the actors that are involved on the supply chain, but as well if you want to connect IoT, you just need to create a role for this IoT, and it will behave as any other actor. So if you scan this, if you're awake enough and you want to scan this, it's just a second. This is the kind of QR code and the landing page that you will get if you put your products on Viant. So thank you for scanning. You are very kind. So the idea is that nowadays, so what will happen is like every time that one of the actors makes an event or something happens inside of the blockchain, inside of the supply chain, each of these events is going to be recorded on the blockchain, and then it's going to be retrievable by this QR code. So actually, if you see on the QR code, you have like 3 options. The first one will give you all the information about the supply chain. You can go farther and see on a map where this was harvested. If you are interested in consuming local, you can actually know if not only the product, but all the ingredients are local. And as well, you can have information, like you can have a connection with your customer directly. If you are a producer, for example, you're a big brand, and you want to make an offer, you want to make a marketing campaign, or you want to give a discount on-site on the supermarket so the person has an incentive to buy right away, then you can actually put it embedded in this QR code. And last but not the least, actually we have seen a lot these last years, a lot of problems with security, with food security, and a lot of product that has to be recalled. So this recall of products actually implies a real high cost, because it has to be organized. You have to make a lot of communication, because the consumer has not access to know actually if his product is the one that is that it shouldn't be consumed. So you can recall a product on this app. So actually, if I scan a bottle of something in the supermarket, I can know if this one I have to recall it or not, and if or the next one to it is good or not. So if I'm at home and I have a product that I have to recall, or that has been recalled, actually I can scan the QR code, recall it, throw it away, and I immediately get a coupon on my phone that allows me to go and get a new one. So, okay, so the good thing about this is that you don't have to have one other extra application on your phone. You don't need to ask the client to install your proprietary app, that you know that there is a lot of friction on that. So actually you can make your own landing page with your branding, and in really easy steps, you can get a full connection with your consumer. The other good thing about Viant, now that I know that I have a little bit more of time, is that actually we are using in the backend, we are using Kaleido. So once, even if you are not a tech person, if you know about your process, if you know exactly how to model your business process, then you can create the whole platform. You can declare the processes, the users, and the attributes, and everything. And then just by clicking to deploy, it will deploy the smart contracts and all the infrastructure behind, completely transparent to you. So it allows it allows the people that it actually that knows about the supply chain to deploy the solution on blockchain without having to go much further down on knowing how to code and how the blockchain is working behind. So that's pretty much it. I don't know if you have questions. Yes, I think he's going to give you the mic.
Hi. May I just ask you if you have encountered privacy issues in terms of like your all the parts and actors that are in part of the supply chain? Maybe they are requiring a bit more of privacy and just like proving something about what they did without really revealing the actual numbers?
Yeah, what is happening is that when you create the business process, the assets and the role and permissions, when you create the roles and permission, you can create, like for each asset and for each action of the process, you can create, it's really easy, you can check yes or no for sharing, for visibility, for ability to modify, or to an obligation to modify. So for example, even though if the platform is going to be the same for everyone in the supply chain, if I'm a farmer and I'm not very tech savvy, I can ask them just to scan a QR code and have access to the platform and just check the only attribute that he has to do, and he will not have access to the rest. So actually, all your constraints on visibility and permission, you can just create them. You can declare them inside of the platform. Thank you.
Are you using RFID?
So the question is if we are using RFID for trackers. So yes, you can actually connect any IoT. What is being used the most is RFID and EthCC. For example, for the project that we did for WWF, it was bait to plate, so actually we were tracking tuna fish, and there was an RFID tracker on the fish that allow us as well to control. We had sensors to control humidity, temperature, within other things. And actually what we do is that you can connect, you can create, as I was saying before, just a role, and a specific role for each of your IoTs, and this will create it as if it was any other actor of the chain.
And to which extent is it complicated to train all the actors involved in the supply chain? Because they all need to be trained for the use of these IoTs, right?
Yes, the good thing about Viant is that it's very simple, and I was myself, when I was learning about Viant, I do consulting on blockchain, and I worked in logistics a lot of time. I have a background in oil and FMCG, and I can tell you that every logistics software that I use was like so complicated, and Viant is like it's super easy because the fact that you can actually mask the permissions of for each specific role, it makes that if you are an actor that has no much complexity inside of the supply chain, then the complexity of your interface is going to be really easy. It's much more easy than filling an Excel file. It's really like it's click here, and then you're set to go. And you can see the demo on Coursera, or you can find bait to plate as well on YouTube. Thank you.
Yeah, how do you convince all the members of the supply chain to use your products? Because if some don't use it, the chain is lost.
Yeah, I understand. So this is a question that we have very often, and it's complicated. But the good thing is that supply chain is broken in a way. I don't want to use broken because everyone uses this word to say to talk about Web 2.0. But the thing is, it's so complicated nowadays to find to make everyone to collaborate within a supply chain that actually this creates a way where you can collaborate and at the same time you can receive the benefits. Like till now, we see that the biggest supply chain software actually are imposed by the bigger actor. So it's going to be the strongest actor that is going to say, okay, this is my system. You connect to it, and I will let you know what is happening. And the fact that with blockchain, you can actually onboard all the people and let them know that they will also have access to the information that will allow them to make better decisions based on data. That makes it easier to convince. And as well, you can offer to create consortiums that makes things much easier. For example, for the oil case, we started working with one of the actors, and at the end, a consortium was created.
Hello.
Hello.
I have a good question regarding the processing. How do you solve this problem about tracking the assets and comparing to the final product? How can you prove that the final product is made out of the raw asset by the processing system? I'll give you a short example. It's a famous story here in France about beef lasagna. So you can prove that the beef arrived to the factory, but it was made out of horse meat, right? So how do you solve this problem about the link between the final product and the raw assets?
Okay, so the thing is, even though blockchain is going to save the world, there are some stuff that we cannot solve. But there are some tricks or some constraints that you can use in order to limit the possibilities of trick the input. So, for example, if I don't know if it's a farmer who holds the cows, but the thing is, if I have 5 cows, then what I can do when I define my process is to define a maximum of production per month, for example, or a maximum of production per year that will allow me only to input this maximum amount. So as everything is deployed in smart contracts, actually you can input the logic that will see that will check the data that first will not allow you to input more cows that you are actually able to produce in good conditions, but as well, it will allow you to check, to make you can run algorithms at in certain periods of times that will allow you to see if someone is always producing at the maximum. So if you have someone that every month collects 100 tomatoes and that's their maximum, so then something may be wrong, because usually you don't have the same maximum production every time. So this is one of the ways that is being used. For example, this kind of system is used as well for supply chain for certificate of origin on green energy. This is the same kind of system that you see, that you check if you go to the industry, you see what is the maximum amount of energy they are actually able to produce. On maximum capacity, on wood weather, etc. And then you allow them only to generate that maximum amount of certificates. And the same thing you can do, for example, for manufacturing. And you see in the actual fabric, you can see if how many declare employees they are, and see what is the maximum production. So even if these people have a second fabric where there is bad conditions of working, then they will not be able to declare this inside of the supply chain. You cannot avoid it, but you can avoid giving them the certificate. I hope that answers the question. We're good? If you have any questions, just reach me on Slack. I should be Annie Ramos on Slack, otherwise just grab a coffee or contact us on Consensus. Thank you very much.